You're tuning in to Felly's Fishbowl, a marketing podcast for the entrepreneur that wants to create a feel-good business model. On this show, you'll be given the permission slip you've been missing to make that change and start building the business you originally dreamed about. Stick around for solo and interview episodes talking all things content creation and marketing. Sound good to you? Let's dive in. All right. Shit's about to get messy. I asked what everybody wanted for this episode, the second to last one of the year, because I know what I want for next week. And you all voted for a 2022 recap or a reflection on my year. And this was a hard year. I thought about doing this a few different ways, whether I wanted to go month by month, because I have these great notes. I did a lot of analytic tracking this year. I decided to go with this episode from the point of sections, topics. So the topics are going to be agency, mentorship, and my personal life. And I'm going to be a good girl. I'm crossing my fingers. You can't see it. And I'm going to put timestamps. So if you're absolutely not interested in one of these sections, I don't care. You can skip ahead. I'm not offended. Yeah, so feel free to jump ahead to whichever section you're interested in or listen all the way through. We are getting into it. But like I mentioned just a minute ago, I did a lot of tracking this year. I did my journaling inside of a Google Doc so I can literally keyword search my own thoughts. I learned how to practice self-coaching models from the life coach school through my coach, Kirsten. So I've also learned a lot about my thoughts in the last 4 months, I'd say. But every month, the first Monday of the month, and I'm continuing this next year, I would write out my analytics, my numbers for my website, for my TikTok, for my email list, for my Instagram. Instagram I track every Monday, but I might change that to first Monday of the month for the new year, because honestly, Instagram does not move the same at the same speed as say TikTok. My TikTok would grow 100 followers, or videos would go viral, versus my Instagram, which was steady, maybe 5 followers a week, 20 followers a month. But I also, of course, I track my income, revenue, sales, whatever, but I also had a spot in my business trackers for a monthly roundup of my money and how I was feeling about my money. And I was tracking how long was it taking me to say collapse my timeline. So if it took me 3 months to hit 10K, and then it took me 2 months to hit 10K, and then it took me 40 days to hit 10K, things like that. I've seen the external growth, I guess, but there's so much internal growth, which is what we're about to go in today. If you're interested in the numbers, I would like to do a number recap carousel on Instagram. So if you're listening to this in January, check my Instagram. If I haven't done it, give me a nudge. But so we're going to start with the agency. My agency is the foundation of my business, let's say. I started as a solo VA in 2019. I go into this in a few different episodes on the podcast, specifically the one my journey from VA to agency. And the agency has been something that has caused me a lot of spin out. I've gotten very, very lost in the journey of this agency, of building this side of my business. And it's been a struggle. And I would say on both sides of my business, I've gone through a lot of minor pivots, always in the same direction, but almost of niching down and getting clear on what it is that I'm doing and what it is that I'm looking for. And so the agency, I feel has finally come full circle from what I wanted it to be, or what I thought it should be, to where it's actually set up to make money, make a difference, and for me to pull out of the day-to-day of it. So when did this all change? This is why I didn't want to do it month to month. The agency has finally found its footing as of September. So I would say I lost track of the agency in June 2020. That's over 2 years of hemming and hawing and throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, before I finally got to the place where I was okay, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I know what my people need to hear. I know what we stand for. I know what we offer, and I know what we specialize in. And you wanna know what the big pitch the you wanna know what the big shift was? It's not a surprise to anybody who's an entrepreneur, but I hired a coach who had done it before. In 2020, I joined a high-level mastermind, and I feel very burned by that experience. I have no hard feelings towards the coach, but it just was so wrong for me and what I needed, and if you listen to the episode where I talk about how I had to learn how to be coached, like, that was the really big experience of pointing out, like, what was wrong with me kind of in my approach to learning because I didn't take advantage, and I think you can join a program that's wrong for you and still make the most of it out of it, and I didn't do that. I didn't make the most out of the program, and I didn't see growth, you know? And so from the end of 2020 or sorry, from the end of that coaching container, which ended June 2020, I was very afraid of making investments. I was very hesitant of anyone who sold high ticket, of anyone who talked highly of like how much they made, how much their clients made in their marketing, because I'd seen that, I'd been there. I joined a program literally because I wanted the same results, only to realize those people are seeing results because of them, not because of the coach, you know? And that's a very valuable lesson. Um, and so when the coach that I have been saying I wanted to hire literally since I was inside that program told me that she was not offering one-on-one anymore because I was kind of like I'm going to it, her program was starting in September. Her mastermind was starting in September and I had it in my mind that I was going to hire her in November for one-on-one. And she told me I'm not doing one-on-one anymore. This is it. Like you join the mastermind or you wait to join the mastermind in the new year when it relaunches, but there's no more one-on-one access. And I was like, okay, we got to make this work. And honestly, I did not have the money. I was not mentally ready. I went back and forth. I straight up was like, yeah, no, absolutely not. And then sat there thinking about it for days on end. And like I knew it's what I wanted and I knew it was what would change things, but I didn't understand how much because I mentioned this again in a different episode, but I did not know what a client delivery system was. All I knew was like onboarding, offboarding. Like that's my system. I used Dubsado. That's a system. But I didn't understand that like sales is a system and client delivery is a system and your training is a system and like all these other systems that were missing from my business to make it sustainable. And also, I think I needed some validation because after so long lost in the weeds, I felt very unsure of my offer. The only clients I signed from 2020 until 2022 were referrals. I think I had 2 or 3 clients come through. They were all referrals. Everybody else was retainer clients that I've had for 2 to 3 years that just continued to hire me, continued to offer, like, projects to me to get, like, yeah, that continued to ask us to help them on one-off projects, but also had ongoing monthly retainers. So, like, my agency is my paycheck every month. Like, I would like it to be 50/50 mentorship agency, but up until now, at the end of 2022, it's still, like, fully agency over mentorship, which will change in the new year. Um, but yeah, it was through retainer clients. I did not grow in any form beyond my branding, really. And so after so so to start my mastermind with my coach, we had a VIP day. And the VIP day was like literally to set up or maybe the VIP day was to map out all of the systems that needed to be set up, the gaps in my in my business really. And after that, I was like, "Oh shit. This VIP day was worth the entire investment and I am about to change my entire business." And I am now at the point where I could take easy 2 months off and my business could run simply without me. because I've hired the right person, a project manager to keep things running. I've set up the systems of retainers, of everyone starts on the first of the month. So it's not like people are starting and ending all over the place. It's very systemized, it's very automated, but it's so easy for me. I know some of you are thinking, yeah, well, that's not for me because I like to, no, no, no. Do you know how fucking easy your business will be when you take it out of your head and put it on paper? That was what that VIP day did for me. Like, also, another thing in my journey to learning how to be coached is I've been focusing a lot on not changing what I'm doing, but getting coached on how I'm doing it. And so I have spent a lot of time on the messaging for both my one on one and my agency. But I feel like I finally found the the words, let's say in about August before I hired my mentor, because I was in her other program and I was using her offer, the offer tool, or sorry, I was using her tool, the offer story, to map out like my agency and how to get that messaging clearer. And so now I constantly send in my emails for review to make sure that I'm staying relevant, to make sure that I'm still selling, like hard selling, not just like passively, like check out my service guide, like I'm asking for the sale in my emails and in my content. And so that's where I would say the agency has really changed. I think I only shared this on close friends, but I got 2 applications in within 24 hours and like 4 inquiries after 6 months of crickets. That's the power of hiring a good coach. Hiring a coach who's done what you wanna do, hiring a coach that actually aligns with the way you wanna run business, because I don't want to have a giant product suite of 100 offers. I don't like selling multiple things at once, and that's where I get caught up when I see these people making this massive amount of money and talking about their sales. It's like, well, they have paid ads running one course. They are selling one thing to their email list. They are on their story selling another thing. They have a close friends. I just can't. I don't like it. My close friends is literally my diary. And I'm going to sell the same thing across my email, my podcast, and my social medias at the same time. And I'm an evergreen seller. I'm not a launch seller. I sell until I sell out. I sell until my spots are filled. And so that's where I'm at with the agency. I feel amazing. I can't even begin to start on, like, how good it feels, because for a long time, I was like, "Am I just holding on to this because of identity?" Which is something that's gonna come up in 2 weeks in a guest episode with my, previous fish and the designer of my brand and website. We talked a lot about, like, having an agency be part of your identity and how hard it is to let it go. But I do love running an agency. I do love content marketing, which is why I offer mentorship on marketing, because I was asked. Literally, I got into one on one because of the demand of people asking me to help them with their marketing based on what I do in my agency. There you have it. That's where the agency is at. That's how I feel about everything in the agency. I feel great. If you didn't understand that, at this time, we do have 3 spots open to start on retainers with us in January. If they don't go, I will keep selling the shit out of this in January for a February start. I will not be, this is me holding myself accountable, I will not be changing my offer until I sell 5 spots. I've sold 2 now, and I'm working to sell the last 3. I have some people in my DMs. You guys just need to apply and get on it. Next, mentorship. Mentorship is still a work in progress, but something that I decided the end of 2021 was to stop doing everything and condense it all into VIP Fish, which is my one-on-one mentorship container. Originally, I charged 555 for 3 months, sorry, per month for 3 months of one-on-one. I raised it to 777, didn't sell any spots, then I raised it to 1,000, so it was 4,000. Oh, and I changed it to 4 months, 4,000 for 4 months. Then I lowered it back to 700 in the summer, 700 per month for 4 months, 2,800, and now I have put it back to 4,000. There is, like, a whole lot of reasoning behind my prices going up and down this year, and that is that at the beginning of the year, every single person would say, "You need to raise your prices, you're not charging enough for one-on-one." But the problem was I had no confidence in selling one-on-one. I had no clarity on selling one-on-one, and I had shitty messaging. So I raised my prices because it's what everyone told me to do, and I couldn't sell. And because nobody was inquiring and I wasn't selling any spots, and I got to the point where I had no more one-on-ones on my roster, I felt so defeated, so I lowered my price. And then I started to speak to people again. I got clear on my messaging and I sold people in, and it was great and I felt great. So basically, 2022 has been a whole lot of, for the mentorship, been a whole lot of learning not to listen to other people around my one on one container, what it should look like, how it should be. Like, I love offering unlimited calls. I love to give my clients unlimited calls. Sometimes my clients book 2 calls a month. Sometimes my clients book biweekly. Usually they book weekly. But I don't wanna say 4 calls a month because I've been in the program where you have the set calls and you get on the call and, well, maybe this is me, but I had nothing to say, I had nothing prepared. The coach would be like, "What are you up to?" And I'd be like, and it just felt like such a waste. I'd rather be able to book the calls as I needed. Yeah, when I stopped listening to everyone else and started doing what I wanted with my one-on-one and felt lit up by my one-on-one and got really clear on what it is. This is something you're going to hear a lot about in the new year because after I sell those final 3 spots in the agency, I will be switching to selling VIP fish. Of course, you can sign up now if you are interested, if you want to. The application will be in the show notes. Both of my offers are always open for enrollment. It just depends on when you'll be able to enroll or if I'm promoting it. If I'm not promoting one-on-one, it's still open to enroll. If I'm not promoting the agency, it's most likely still open to enroll depending on our availability. But I really had to fall back in love with my one-on-one offer to be able to sell it because I got to the point where I doubted myself so much. I think especially at the beginning of the year, my clients had good results, but they weren't monetary. And it really got to me, as you see all those people saying, "My client signed with me, and then they immediately signed a 20K retainer." And it's like, "Okay, I get it, but generally my clients don't have $20,000 retainers." Like, my clients are people like me who are travelers, who are passionate, but still wanna live their lives. They're not interested in the hard grind. And, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to work hard and get your business in and so that you can, like, be comfortable later, but my clients don't want to cry their way to their first 6 figures, you know? They're not willing to burn themselves out in the name of money, and, like, that's how I feel about myself and my business as well. It's very it's very therapeutic, to be honest. But so I would say this journey is not done. I am still to this day learning how to sell one on one. I have my eyes on a sales program for the new year that I'm excited about. Um, but yeah, one on one, it's it's I've truly fallen in love with VIP Fish this year because in 2021, it was kind of made out of a necessity of like, this isn't sustainable trying to launch 10 different programs and create these programs at the same time as I'm launching them and trying to sell into all these different offers and then retain the clients through each process. And one on one helps my nervous system, it helps my marketing, it helps my clients because I only talk about the same offer again and again. But it's something that I'm still learning to sell because selling coaching, selling mentorship, and selling done for you are very, very different. And I spent the first 2 years of this business learning and perfecting selling done for you. So I'm still in the process of learning selling one on one, but I'll say I think I've made a lot of progress. At this point, I have had 5 fish. 5 people go through my one-on-one program. I still have 2 with me right now. So 3 people have finished, and I love it, and I've seen the transformation, and at this point, I have identified my framework, which makes me really happy, and something I wanna say to all of you, do not push developing a framework, developing a methodology, whatever that word is, because for so long I felt like how can I offer one-on-one without a framework? Like, I do I have to create one? Do I just make one up on the spot? But it's like I knew what I wanted to do and I wanted to help people with their marketing. And now that I've done it with several clients, I can see the process that we go through with each person. And it's not like 1 month on this, 1 month on that. It's really dependent on how long it takes each client to move through each phase. But I would say 4 months is a great timeline for me. I can see as my clients hit the 4 months, they're starting to make real traction on their own without me being in their pocket every day. But also, it's just a beautiful thing, basically. Um, let's go on to my personal life. My personal life has deepened. I don't know if that's the right word, but I have done so much work literally in the last 4 months since hiring Kirsten in her mastermind around neutrality in all aspects of my life. I spent a lot of time shaming myself, and I heard a really great quote by Ashley Pollard, which is actually why I joined her MPEM program in June. Didn't Was it June? Yeah. But it was that there's no room for shame in your business. But what was missing is that, like, in place of shame, you need to have neutrality. So I shamed myself a lot for not having 10K months, for not being farther ahead, for not having more clients, for not figuring out things sooner. There was a lot of shame. And so I kind of released that shame in the summer, but it wasn't until I learned neutrality that it made a really big difference because I no longer was shaming myself, but I still had a lot of thoughts. And now I still have a lot of thoughts, but I can look at things neutral. Like before, I would be spinning out, breaking out in hives if I looked at my bank account right now. Oh my God, you would all freak out if you saw my bank account right now. It's one of those like I'm waiting for like 4 or 5 different payments to come in, but it looks a little scary. Let's just say the ratio of money in my account to money on my credit card is astronomical, and I have thoughts about it, but I feel no type of way because I am so positive and confident that I can figure it out, that I can make more money, that I can always sign more clients, and that here's the big one, debt means absolutely nothing about me as a person. I'm someone that was so proud in the beginning of business that I had never had debt in my life because I never went to college, I never went to university, so I'd never had to really take out money. I'd always had not steady jobs. Like, I worked seasonal work and I worked gig work, but I always had money coming in, especially working gig work, like, you're getting paid constantly, and so I just had never racked up debt. I'm a very minimal lifestyle person. I've never gotten into, like, luxury or things, materialistic things, and so I was always very comfortable and always able to pay my credit card, and getting into entrepreneurship, like, fucking wrecked my nervous system because for the first time, I was like, "I need to take this leap of faith in myself, but I don't know where the money's gonna come from to pay this back." And it was fucking scary and it caused a lot of stress and it caused a lot of fights with the Frenchman. That's something that we will talk about um, next. My relationship with the Frenchman. I would say this happened in November. After the blowout with my team member, I had a team member for a year and a half, and it got to the point where there was a lot of discrepancies in hours. My team, they all work hourly, and so they like bill me for their hours, and there was less and less work being assigned and more hours being charged. And I approached and basically got like a verbal slap in the face and told like I should be grateful. And I was like, this is business. This is not about our friendship." And it ended really badly. And I basically spent a week crying and blowing up and waking up in the middle of the night. I was covered in hives 24/7. I was so anxious, nervous breakdown, so uncomfortable in my body. So, like, I was terrified, like it just rocked me to my core. And I felt dumb because I was like, "How long has this been going on?" Like, I trusted this person and I wasn't monitoring their invoices as closely as maybe I should have been, and I just felt stupid and taken advantage of and so, so burned that someone I had literally given free mentorship to as they were on my team to try and help them with their own business would say, like, "Fuck you," for questioning why my hours have doubled when I do good work for you. You can tell I'm still a little bit bitter about it. I think I will always be a petty person. I'm a fucking Gemini sun, Scorpio rising. Like, petty is in my nature, but it doesn't mean anything about me. The way that that relationship ended and the way that she conducted herself, it was completely out of integrity, but that doesn't make me a bad business owner. All my applications for content writers and when I was hiring a PM 2 months ago, a project manager, all said they wanted to work with me because of me, you know? So it's like it's very validating to see that one bad experience wasn't based on how I conduct myself as a business owner, it was someone who was bitter in their role. Um, but what I noticed in that week of my absolute mental breakdown, unable to function situation, and I wasn't drinking that week, so I, like, had nothing to hide behind, you know? Um, I took it out on the Frenchman. I had no way to express myself clearly and approach conversations in a healthy way, and so probably halfway through the week, I just sat down and I was like, "I wanna tell you what's going on, I wanna tell you everything, I wanna tell you how I'm feeling, and I wanna talk through it with you." And to be fucking held through that shitstorm, like, emotional shitstorm, oh my god. Like, I knew I was gonna marry the Frenchman before that, but that shift in the beginning of November was like, "How did I not know I was gonna marry you before? How did it take me so long?" Also, I should say, end of 2021, I broke up with the Frenchman. Our relationship was really toxic. He was in his head a lot, but like our relationship was in a toxic, unhealthy place. And I was just like, fuck this. You don't appreciate me. I don't want to be with you. And yeah, Christmas Eve, we ended up getting back together. So I think we were broken up like 2 or 3 months. And we ended up getting back together. And then in January, we had the conversation like, are we together? Are we in a relationship? What's happening? And it was literally like this switch. I was with this man for almost 2 years and would never, ever have considered him my future husband. I was always like, this is my Mexico boyfriend. When I leave Mexico, wherever I go next, like, he's not coming with me and we're going our separate ways. Like, this is just a comfort relationship after years of being single. So we got back together Christmas 2021. And then in January, we had the conversation like, are we boyfriend, girlfriend? Literally, I had the conversation because he was like assuming. And I was like, no, you can't just assume that we're together just because you stay at my house. um, and it was just like this 360 switch of going from thinking like the Frenchman was a relationship of convenience to like I want 2.5 kids to build our eco house in the south of France, to travel like nomads when we want to, but have a home base. I want to have a calico cat. Like, my family will come to visit, so we need to have spare bedrooms, you know? Like, it was this very much like, this is the life that I can see with you. Can you see it too? Because that's a really big thing for me. If I can't see it, if I can't imagine something, then I struggle to make it a reality. And I know like people can be like, "Oh, be like open to the unexpected," you know, but it's like, no, like I really do need to know like where I'm going with my life, like the direction. And it was like this big like realigning my why because my why had changed. My why was originally to get out of Canada. I'd been out of Canada for 2 years, but I didn't know what I was working towards anymore. And so then in January of 2022, in January of this year, I was like, "Look, everything I'm doing is for our future family and for our future lifestyle. I want to be able to take vacations. I want to be able to provide for our kids. I want to be able to build our dream house. And yes, it's going to have a fucking pool because I've never lived anywhere with a pool." and that's all I want in life, you know? And so it was just like, "Is this what you want? Tell me what you wanna add to it." And he's like, "Yeah, like, I want a dog. I wanna have a garden to grow my own vegetables and probably weed plants." Like, like, it became our collective goal instead of just me hypothesizing and thinking about it. And that was like another point where I was like, I want to manifest things with you. I want us to be on the same page of what we're working towards together. And our whole relationship is different because of that. And like the last thing I'll touch on for like a reflection from 2022 would be my health. Like personally, I'm not shy about this. I have been struggling with hives since 2019, like full body, painful, itchy, swollen, overheating hives. And in the beginning of December, I actually got my blood checked, and without I haven't gone to a doctor still yet, but without a doctor's opinion, my blood test is showing that my body is, like, in an anaphylactic shock, and my whole life, I've never been allergic to anything, so I don't know what is causing the hives to this day. I Oh man, the amount of conversations I've had about this, it's actually like kind of a trigger point for me now because people are like, you should try this oil, you should try this cream, you should stop eating this. Look, guys, I've had hives for 3 fucking years. You think I haven't Googled 100 times? Why do I have hives? How do I get rid of hives? What cause hives? Like I have been on the Google. But now I'm gonna go to a doctor with the Frenchman because there's no way I'm gonna understand this conversation in Spanish, but get a him to read my blood test results and then also potentially go to an allergist to see if I'm allergic to something. But I have my eyes on actually one of my clients' programs for next year to learn how to heal my gut holistically because I do know that I have an imbalance in my gut. I have candida overgrowth. I'm like, I don't know if people are grossed out or disturbed by health things, but like I don't care. It's just facts. Um, I have too much yeast in my body. And so I would like to balance that. And I have been a vegetarian for 10-ish years. And since following my now client and all her talks about like not being vegetarian and eating meat and like eating most like a lot of protein, really, I can see my energy levels have changed significantly since I've started consistently eating meat. Before I would kind of like since being with the Frenchman, I was kind of eating chicken maybe around my period because like the roast chicken in Mexico is amazing. The rotisserie chicken, if you're ever visiting. um, but I was usually like a fish person, like fish, tofu, beans, lentils, and I have never had energy. I've always been a napper, but it was like I don't struggle to wake up anymore. And so, yeah, I can say that my body needed more protein. Like I knew my body was low on iron always. I just kind of ignored it. And I'm not a big red meat eater. I don't really like the taste. And I've always had high cholesterol because of genetics. And so I'm kind of cautious with red meat, but having like chicken at least once a week has like changed my energy levels and I can see a and, like, look, I work with my client, like, weekly. I'm in her business, I see her client results, I see the content she's putting out, I know her journey, and I trust her. So it's like, yeah, in the new year, I got a list of investments I wanna make in the new year once I onboard all my new clients and get some more one-on-ones in? Um, but I can see, like, 2023, I want it to be the year that I fix my health. I'm fucking tired of living with hives. It's not comfortable, it's not fun, and honestly, my legs look, like, disturbing when I'm in public. I live in a beach town, I'm, like, walking around in a bikini with hives all up my legs. I look diseased? Like, people are, like, freaked out by it, so but, sometimes you have to I wouldn't say hit rock bottom, but you need to make the decision yourself to make your health a priority. This is also something I talked about with my one-on-one client today, for her marketing, but it's like, yeah, people really do need to make the decision, and for a long time, I think I saw it as, like, maybe I'm not the healthiest, but I can still get by. Like, I'm not in a hospital bed, I'm still comfortable, I'm still able to eat, I'm still able to, like, live my life, I can climb stairs even though it, like, winds me. Um, And so now I've reached the point where I'm like, no, like I want to have kids in the next 2 years, and I'm not down for getting pregnant when I already have massive complications in my own body because pregnancy is something that absolutely terrifies the shit out of me. So I want to go into pregnancy healthy and comfortable and confident that my body can handle it. And right now I'm not confident in that, you know? So that's where I'm at. That's my whole year. This is a long episode, so I hope you liked it. I'm sure I gave way too much away, but I don't really care because everything is neutral. Nothing means anything about me as a person. I am a good person through and through. And it's what's funny? I used to tell people and like tell myself that I wasn't a good person. And I think like my Scorpio rising negative energy, I'm very judgmental. I can be very petty. And I was like, I don't think happy thoughts. Like, I have negative thoughts. If you walk in the room, I'm thinking probably something negative. I'm not an affectionate person. Like, oh, it's funny, like living in Latin America where people are super affectionate. Like, people don't know how to handle me because I'm not a hugger, I'm not a toucher, I'm not great with complimenting people. Like, I'm very like, I don't want to say I'm reserved. Like, I can be loud and obnoxious, but I keep it close to the chest, and like you'll see more of me the more you know me. In the beginning, it's probably just resting bitch face and you're thinking this girl fucking hates me. That's everybody's impression of me. It's fine. I'm used to it. But it's neutral. You can think I'm a bitch, and honestly, I've lived my whole life having people think that. I don't care anymore. It doesn't control me. It doesn't mean anything about me and my actual intentions. And yeah, like I did a lot of healing in 2021. Like, I worked with a therapist for a while and like developed the actual ability to trust people, which I had gone probably 10 years without having that ability. But this year was a deeper healing. It was like, I mean, can you go deeper than trauma? But like, it wasn't so much about the past trauma, but about my patterns, which I guess are developed from trauma. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna leave this here because I don't know where else to go from here. So we're gonna wrap it up. In the show notes, you can find the application to apply for VIP Fish, my one-on-one mentorship. You can find the service guide for my agency to work with FDVA on content repurposing. And what else will I put there? Probably my website, and my Instagrams. If you liked this episode, please don't hesitate to leave a review, rate, subscribe, follow, whatever the platform you're on is asking of you. It makes such a difference to my visibility and to people being able to find this show because I don't just record this for me. As much as I enjoy having these conversations with myself, basically, I do this for you and I want people to learn from this. So if you know someone who could use this episode, please pass it forward. If you like this episode, share it to Instagram, tag me. I will always reshare the fact that you shared it. And honestly, it'll probably make me tear up because it like means that much to me. Also, can we just celebrate that I have officially, or we have, I guess, officially hit 100 listens on the show at 10 episodes and 6 weeks in. It was hit or miss for a minute, but I am so glad to see this growing as I can see like you guys starting to listen and maybe binge listen, and I'm getting the messages of people are loving it, and it means so 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 much to me. So thank you so much for listening. I will catch you all next week with another episode of Felly's Fishbowl.